to build a sustaining business, you want to be working on your referral business. And, people don't buy or sell or rent a home every year. And so what you need to do is remind people you're in the business, right? You need to show them value. You need to request referrals. You want to keep yourself top of mind. And you want to do so in a way that's not annoying.
Yeah.
And it's a balance, and it's hard, and it's the work that we do every day. People think, oh, you're a real estate agent, you just show up and open doors for people. I think, it's so not what I do. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig, hosting with
Mike Van Mantor, Cross Country Mortgage.
So we just spent a little time on the phone with Christian from Veteran Affairs here in Orange County, talking about the Committee for Family of War Veterans and their fundraiser coming up Thursday, May 23rd at Delancey's. Again, tickets are $60, and you can get them at familyofwarveterans.org. Would love to see a lot of people out there supporting our local veterans, their families, and this organization. That being said, that was a great lead-in with Mike to talk about a program going on, that he is aware of.
So we just rolled this out, I want to say 3 days ago. It went live. It's a line of duty death benefit, and I actually will pull up the requirements just because I have not memorized them yet. But it is essentially for first responders. So cops, firemen, volunteer EMS, volunteer firefighters, anyone that is classified as first responder. I think we're going to expand the product beyond that. But essentially what it is, it costs the client nothing. When they buy a house, we will forgive if they are deceased in the line of duty, right? That could be heart attack, that could be obviously whatever altercation you have during, performing your job.
Right.
As long as it happens on the job, essentially you will get your debt forgiven up to $525,000. So we essentially will write off that debt. It's to help the families. Obviously things, if you lose your job or lose your life, that income's going to stop. So this is a way to help those individuals. So yeah, it costs nothing. That's the great part.
So is that something like a program when you first apply for your mortgage, you apply into it?
Correct, because we're actually paying for it. Essentially, I'm assuming an insurance type policy that we're taking out for the individual that doesn't cost the borrower any money.
I got you.
And then if we have to then write off that debt, then we would basically, I guess,
apply
that policy. I'm not, I obviously didn't write the program, but it is specific. You can't add it to a current mortgage. It's done now at
Could
closing.
you refinance into it?
I would assume, yeah. I'll have to verify it because we literally rolled it out 3 days ago. I think it's going to be huge, especially in New York. I think New York NYPD is like the biggest employer in the state.
Right.
So it's going to be a huge program, I think, for us in this area.
Well, I think that that we should find ways to market and make sure that we're letting people know it's there. A lot of times as agents, we are the first time someone is talking to a buyer about mortgage, right? We're referring you, and a lot of times as agents, we're getting referrals through past clients that might be firemen or police officers, especially here in Orange County. So I think an education piece on that would be amazing.
Yeah, we're gonna start teaching classes on it. I'm gonna do a webinar. We'll likely do some speaking engagements somewhere, like a local union, something along those lines, to try to just kind of get the word out. I mean, it's great. You can be a volunteer. Like you don't need to be, full-time NYPD, full-time firefighter. You can literally be a volunteer in your community, and have this benefit. So I think it's just a no-brainer.
I love that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that kind of rolling back just a little bit we're going to talk about today is as not only just where you've been this past week and what you've been doing, but also as a business owner, things that we do as to keep ourselves motivated and in the know and driving forward, because especially being a small business owner, it's really completely on you to keep your business moving forward.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can get in a rut and you need like a swift kick in the butt to, pick you up and get you going. So why don't we talk first a little bit about where you were and what what that conference was about, and then we'll dig into.
So I was in Orlando, Florida. I'm part of a coaching program called the Core Coaching. It's essentially, I'm not a coach. I am being coached, right? So it's the top realtors and top lenders in the country. This is not just CCM. It could be, ABC Bank down the road. It really is just people that want to succeed, and they basically give you the blueprint to succeed. So yeah, it's a bunch of motivation stuff, and then it's a lot of work. I was there for 5 days, but I really spent 3, basically 9 to 6, just, all right, what are these professionals in their field, like the number one people in their market, what are they doing?
Right.
What do I need to do?
Right.
And it's a lot. I usually come out of these things like, I'm going to do everything, I'm gung-ho. It made me actually look at my business and go, wow, I'm not doing enough. It's easy when I think the market's firing on all cylinders, but now that it's changed, right? You really have to track everything. You have to have consistent follow-up, which I do a great job of, but even comparing it to these other people, it's not enough. It's really not enough. But yeah, it's good to see, that someone just follow the steps, right? And just do the work.
Yep.
And I think the hardest part for us as business owners, because again, even though I work for a big bank, it's my own business, right?
Correct.
And the same
for
you.
Right. Although you're not an independent contractor,
no, I'm not.
You operate your business as one.
Yeah, correct. Because I'm not getting internet leads and things like that. It's all referrals and past clients. So you have to harvest those relationships consistently.
Right.
And I think, to your point, like, you do get down on yourself a little bit because you're doing all the work, and then you're not seeing the reward, because I think the reward is very much delayed.
Right. Because it's a long. It's you have to play the long game, especially whether you're in mortgage or real estate. You can capture quick buyers that are ready to go sometimes, but really, to build a sustaining business, you want to be working on your referral business. And people don't buy or sell or rent a home every year, and so what you need to do is remind people you're in the business, right? You need to show them value. You need to request referrals. You want to keep yourself top of mind. And you want to do so in a way that's not annoying.
Yeah.
And it's a balance, and it's hard, and it's the work that we do every day. People think, oh, you're a real estate agent, you just show up and open doors for people. I think, it's so not what I do. I'm like, that is like 2% of what I do.
Yeah, and when you look at the numbers statistically, like 15%, if you can have access to 15% additional clients from just reaching out to your past clients, that's a huge number.
Yeah.
If you have 400 clients, that's 15% of that's huge. That can make your whole year.
Correct.
Because everyone statistically turns over every 5 to 7 years, I think we're
pushing on 10 years now with the rates scenario we're in right now. But even 10% of your book of business after a given amount of time, it should lead quite a few, leads to transactions.
Yeah.
Right?
I learned that I need to expand my market presence a little more. It seems like I'm one of the few New Yorkers there, because it's just hard to do business in this state. Everywhere else, Midwest, California, wherever, they're just like, you wait 60 days to close? Like,
sometimes.
Well, sometimes. The bank stuff's still very easy, but we have title and municipals and contracts.
Attorneys.
That takes 40 plus days. And these people are like, we close in 14,
Right.
Good for you.
Right. That's not my business model.
So, it does make me want to expand my reach, even though, as a bank, we're licensed in 50 states.
Right.
My license is 5. If I ever need to do a loan in, let's say, South Carolina, there's a branch there I can send it to.
Right.
But if I wanted to personally write it, then I would just have to get licensed. So, but you need to really reach out, I think.
Yeah. No,
do the steps.
It is interesting. Again, talking about that motivation and expanding your vision for your business, right? You kind of, in real estate, at least, you start your business, and the first couple of years you're learning like what it means to be a realtor, right? You are learning how to, what you need to know about the home buying or home selling process. You're meeting vendors who can, help you work through the different parts of the purchasing process, and you're building confidence in what you do, right? And then once you have built the foundation of your business, your job is grow your business, right? And as real estate agents and real estate firms, we're really good about helping agents learn the basics of real estate. So when they go out there and they're talking to people, they sound or they are educated, and they know the steps, and they can shepherd either the buyer or the seller or the renter or the landlord, right? Or the investor through that transaction, right? So now the question really becomes, right? How are you then taking those skills, sharing your knowledge in a way that helps you build your business? And there's not a lot of guidance for that sometimes, right? You kind of
I think you have to align yourself with other professionals. Like that's just the only way to do it.
Correct.
So a new agent coming in, everyone thinks everything's so competitive. It really isn't.
No.
I can be in an office next to another loan officer that we're vying for the same business, but the goal is the same, to grow, right? Yep. So I shouldn't be next to an individual that wants to take from me. No. It should be to rise me up. So I think if you're in a real estate office that does that for you, you can be brand new, just like I can be a brand new LO. And if you surround yourself with the right people, you're going to succeed. And I think that's kind of what this whole convention is about. It's like no one there was, you're my competitor. You're licensed in Colorado. You're licensed in Florida. You're my competitor. It's like, no, show me, here's how I'm succeeding. How can I help you? And I say the exact same thing to them. Like, we're firing ideas off of different banks. Like, there's programs out there that we don't even have. And I'm learning from these other individuals, wow, that's a great program. I wonder if we can get that program, Right. And you really just have to do that. Don't be so caught in your kind of narrow-mindedness that you can't open up to suggestion and feedback from other people.
That is great. Coaching is, it's one of those things where you have to really be open to it for it to be successful, right? Like,
I'm laughing because it's so hard. Like it's
coaching is hard.
It's accountability.
I don't know that I would be a great coaching client, right?
I'm not. I'm definitely not. But
I have a stumbling block about it. And I've interviewed a couple different coaches a couple different times. I've even found one or two I'd really like to work with, and then I think about I think about the fact that I have no idea how to even start to infuse them into my already so busy schedule. I know I would benefit from a coach if I would be open to the idea of coaching, right? Yeah. And, it's not that I think I know everything. I know I don't. I'm almost afraid of how much extra time and energy I would have to put into my business to meet their expectations. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense because the homework that I get is you want to just turn off when you're done with work, and really you still have to do the work, right? Yeah. So it's difficult. What I see at work though is when you actually do it, and then it's like, okay, well, yeah, this is actually clicking, Right. And I think what happens is you do it for a little while, you get momentum, and then you stop, you slow down, which is like any business, and then you have to pick it up again, right? So
right, and then restarting that cycle, you have all that lead time. If you had just kept being consistent about whatever it was you were doing that was showing you success, and not take your foot off the gas pedal when you started to see that success.
Yeah.
One of the things people, I notice about my business I notice about my business is that it is like scales, right? When I'm getting really busy because what I've been doing is working, I still only have the same 40 hours a week, right? And so in order to actually manage the business, I now sometimes have to step away from my activities that drove that business in the first place, right? And that is when people talk about, what can you do to leverage someone else's time to help you, really be able to focus on the parts of the job that only you can do versus the parts of the job you really could train someone else to do. So maybe when we get back from break, we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Let's see if I ever heard back. So, still waiting for Dave to maybe come in.
That's all right.
Kevin is not going to make it. So, when we come back, we'll talk about, we'll kind of talk a little bit about that leveraging for help, and then I'll talk a little bit about like my transition from one place to the other, and the differences that I see in why it feels more possible to build my business in a different way, and then we'll chime in a little bit on that.
Yeah, that's fine, because I can see the same stuff, now too. So cool.
And then we'll have to come up with something for our last 15 minutes.
We'll
Maybe
make
Dave
it
will
work.
be here for now.
Well, I can do the mortgage update too. Even though there's not much to talk about, the rates are pretty much the same, and all that good stuff.
All right, good. I do have some secret.
Yeah, let me scan this
Stuff
over
here.
here. This is next week, right?
Yep. Which is why it's the push. I got to hang these posters everywhere.
Are you part of this?
Yeah. So it's an organization I just recently started volunteering with. Of course, it's the night of my son's junior prom, so I may be a little late because I got to do the picture thing.
Are you pushing it to just everybody, or
Yeah,
is it like...
we're pushing it to everybody. It's really an open, come support these things. So I'll start this week. I put on my Facebook page a couple times, but now I'm going to start texting it to people individually because people don't buy tickets for things till the week of. So
You can pay right with Venmo.
look at that. All right, we're getting ready.
Oh, wait, I don't know about this.
We'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Here we go. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig with Keller Williams, licensed in New York and New Jersey, hosting today with
Mike Van Mansart.
So, Mike, we have to keep doing what it is we do and share with people how to get in touch with us.
Sure. You can check out MikeVanMansart.com or my telephone number, 845-239-6565.
All right. And you can get my contact information at my website, listwithchrisk.com, and that's Chris with a C. So, anyway, we've been talking a little bit about what it's like as a small business owner who has to, run your business and find business and keep going and stay motivated and, find success.
And tracking, I think, is what
tracking your business. Yes.
That's the thing I think I took away the most from is you can track, like I could pull up my client list and go from application to close date, right? And see what that average is and know how many transactions I'm going to do based on that turnaround, right? So I know that I have to get X amount of leads this month in order to close X amount of loans 3 months from now or whatever that turnaround is. I mean, I have pre-approvals. I have over 200 pre-approved clients that are out there, right? That are searching. And you have to stay in front of them. You have to stay involved, and hopefully some, listings will come up that'll click for them. But it really is a long process in this market. But yeah, the tracking is key, I think. Yeah. I'm sure you see that too.
Well, similar to what you said, we do, every agency has some version of business planning, plus every coach or trainer that's out there. So usually in early December, maybe late November, we start really talking about business planning. And there are various formulas or things, but the idea, same as what you said, is set what you want your income goal to be for the year, right? And then backtrack out, how many calls does it take to get an appointment? How many appointments do you need to get a lead? How many leads convert? So how many leads do you need in a month to generate, 1/12 of the income you want for the year? And really build out those numbers to help yourself build out what every week should look like for you, right? And then follow that plan.
And try not to get hit with the speed bumps in between.
Well,
That's always
exactly,
right.
Well, you always have to cushion your plan with a little extra so that when you hit that speed bump, right? And that doesn't take into the seasonality of what we do. So you can plan it out month by month, but the reality is there are parts of the year that are crazy busy, and it's very, very difficult to hit those benchmarks. So knowing what the seasonality is of your business, pushing, slower times to be more lead generating, right? Like trying to find that balance. It's tough, right? And you do get beat down after a while, and you get exhausted, and you have a couple deals fall apart, and you get disheartened, and right, you reach that point where you're saying to yourself, like, okay, it's go or no go. And I think every business owner, no matter what the industry, these are the things that they struggle with, right? One of the things that I have found most interesting, most of you guys know, about 6 months ago, I switched real estate companies. And really, I had no idea like what the real differences were between brokers, because I've been with one broker for 14 years and now I am with another broker for 6 months. And one of the things that I'm learning is that, each brokerage has a culture, each office has a culture, and they're all better or worse at different things, right? No, it's never apples to apples, right? It's not like two offices are the same, right? They're different, and people have to find a home that makes them feel most comfortable or drives them to do business. I guess in a way that keeps them up and motivated.
Yeah.
And so, as I'm looking back at my first 6 months and I have a chance to, I guess, review my pros and cons between where I was and where I am now, it's interesting. Where I was had some things that I kind of miss out on a little bit. But the reality is the gains I have from switching, I'm with a company right now that their motivator, their driver for their agents is to teach them how to run a business. And it is a business focused company. You can decide what your focus is in the real estate industry. And for some people, it's not even selling houses. It's supporting and training other agents, right? But that's all part of the business. What they teach you is how to run a business, right? Look at the bigger picture. You have different business models. Which one do you think is going to work best for you? Okay, well, if business model C is more what is going to be effective for you, here are the steps, right? Here's how to build that business, right? Oh, business model B is more for who you are. Okay, you can be successful with that business model too. And it's totally different, but it fits your style. Here's how to be successful, if this is the kind of business model that is going to drive you to stay invested, right? Or maybe you've been doing A and didn't even know B or C existed, and you have a chance to now expand your vision for how to grow that business. Another thing that where I'm at really focuses on is leveraging your time, right? Versus trying to do it all, right? And yes, there's an expense to do that, but what do you gain by inviting that help in and paying for it, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things that they're teaching at the conference. You have to have help, I think, I forget what the realtor numbers are, but for like loan officers, it's every 5 deals, you need an assistant, So if you have 10 deals a month, you need at least 2 help, because you can never grow past what you can physically do. Like, there's just not enough time. If I had 50 loans in 1 month, I could not personally handle them by myself. I would have to have staff. There has to be people to communicate throughout the process. It can't be me every Tuesday saying, hey, here's what's going on with your loan. It's just not going to happen, so you have to have the help. I agree with you. I think I've seen that in your business, that you're focused not on, hey, obviously you're still getting listings, you still have buyers, but you're really saying, I don't want to just be running around forever. I want to grow something that I can now have almost be your own, just with a different, like a different company on the top. Right. It's, so you can build out a team, grow that team, and then you become the face of the team, but it's not so much of you having to run around. A lot of what I learned is life balance, you have to set. We all want to work like we are, it is truly running your own business, right? So if the phone rings, that's an opportunity for you. You want to answer. There has to be a point, though, where you have to put I don't want to say stop to it, but balance it out and say, this can wait, or that, Right. And I think that's where I struggle with that a lot.
Yeah, me too. I'm a do it all myself person. Yeah. It's even the idea of training someone. The time to take away from your business to get someone to learn your business to help you. It's like this weird catch-22 in my head, and it's a stumbling block, right? It's
the hardest thing I think people do.
And to find that person that meshes with you and gets you and your business, right? Then there's turnover and doing it all again, and right. So it's one of those things where you have to really, really be committed to that process, I think, to be successful in it. and not want to just walk away from it.
Yeah, and you have to be smart enough to know that you don't want to do it too early, but you don't want to wait and do it too late, because then you'll miss opportunity.
Right, it'll stunt your business growth, right?
It has to be kind of the perfect time, which I think is the hardest. So
no, it's as I said, that's been a very like eye-opening experience for me to really have that encouragement to say, where do you want your business to be, right? Define what you want that business to be. Where, what's your focus? How big do you want to grow that business? What are you personally capable of? What do you need to get to that next step? Let's help you figure out how to build that, what that, how to get from where you are to where you want to be. And to me, that's where I'm at now. That is their focus, is helping you become exactly the kind of business owner you want to be. Some people, don't have aspirations of really large teams of people. It's overwhelming to them, and it's not where they're at in their life. They have an income goal that is attainable, and that's awesome. Okay, let's focus with you then on how you're generating the leads you need to sustain what you have, right? And then other people, they really do want to grow something big, and without having mentorship to help you get there, it's like you're spinning your wheels and you're guessing, and you don't have the confidence that you're taking the right steps, right? And so working with a company that helps you, that has done it so many times and has so many successful teams working under their umbrella, and is a place where teams come because they know that the business model is
supports it,
supports them, has really, as I said, been eye-opening for me, and a real change in the way I vision the future of my business, right?
Yeah, I think we're kind of in the same boat. Like when I made my transition, it was the exact same reasons, to grow something, have something I can kind of, I don't want to say call my own, but yeah. And I think maybe I'm in the similar boat where it's like, I'm so used to just being the soldier, right? That it's like, I have to now focus on my troops and how do I grow my like little mini empire.
Exactly.
So it's just one of those things. It's tough. It's really hard to do. And I mean, again, back to that little conference, you see other people do it, and you see where they started and where they've become, and it's kind of really impressive,
right?
If they just do the little things.
And it makes it feel like it's attainable.
Yeah.
Right? And especially when you see, like for me, when we go to conferences, a lot of times they're panel driven, right? You have a panel of agents that were just like you. And now they are doing exponential business. And they are there to share how they got from where they are, from where they were to where they are. And that's what's so valuable to going to these conferences. And sometimes they feel expensive, right? And you're just like, do I spend the money? Do I not? And to me, I think once a year to get involved in something that is going to amp you up, give you new ideas, right? Increase your network, nationally or whatever, right? Because we all know people moving to all different places. And not everyone is licensed or present in those places. So to have a partner that you can trust to say, oh, you're moving to Dallas. I have 2 or 3 agents that I've been connected with, that will help you. And I know them here, use them. Right. Like that's a whole nother part of the business. Yeah. Right.
I have some people in San Diego that we're going to share ideas with, maybe visit, different companies completely. It's just, that's what I love about it. It's not like this is one company, right. This is who's here. It's so many different companies that can learn from everyone. Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
Listen, I know you know that when you come home from these things, I always call you motivational Mike, right?
I just everything. That's the problem. And like, I literally got asked a question like, "Oh, what class did you just do?" I don't even remember. It was too much.
I got to digest.
Overload. Let me look at my notes.
Well, listen, I know that over the coming weeks you'll come out with some nuggets and share some of your best practices, so that because even though our businesses are different, our models are similar.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's nice to have that like exchange back and forth of ideas. It's one of the things I love about when we go out for dinner or whatever, and we chit chat. And
I know, I feel bad for Mike because it's all we talk about is real estate and loans, and he's just like do.
I know. Listen, that's why he needs to get his license that he'll be wrapped into. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, so we just do the 15 minutes. So just real estate in general. We don't have to talk about the conference, but I was shocked to see Florida 61% inventory increase in the past year. Like the market's shifting, and I think should talk about that a little
Oh
bit.
yeah,
You know,
nationally, the story locally is different than the story
Yes.
nationally, and so
but it's going to feed locally at some point. It's
it
gonna
will.
trickle down. Yeah.
I feel like I just saw something. Was it in this article? Oh, this was about how to educate your consumers for the upcoming changes in real estate. But in here somewhere they were talking about the changing market and how to be transparent with your people. And of course, I'm not going to find that. But anyway,
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
yeah. I just figured if I could pull out that nugget from there, it's
Yeah.
a good jumpstart for the conversation. But we're going to jumpstart it with mortgages, and then what you hear about Florida and
Yeah.
other places. And
Yeah, you can give your feedback locally. I mean, we both know what's happening here, but I really do feel like it's kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm just slightly pessimistic on certain things.
I don't know. I also think that in some areas they've seen so much more appreciation of price than we have, and I think they eventually just reach a limit.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not doing that, right? And I think that some places who've had such even more appreciation than we've had here, they really have just reached their limit between the rates and the prices. People can't buy,
Yeah.
and so they're not.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, this will talk.
I know. Listen, I love that.
Yeah, when I scanned this, I went to someone's, I don't know, I just didn't recognize that wasn't for this. It was someone else.
Was it Barb Allen or Christian? Dan?
That's why I was like,
Yeah,
I don't know about
I
her.
haven't done it that way. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig with Keller Williams, licensed in New York and New Jersey. Hosting today with
Mike Van Mantar with Cross Country.
All right. So, before we left, we were talking about being motivated for your business. And I thought that was a great discussion we had, and, how to grow and all that stuff. But part of that is staying educated with the market and knowing what's going on. So why don't we talk about mortgage rates for a little bit and what's going on and what are you seeing?
They're pretty flat, to be honest. I didn't run a pricing scenario this morning, but I would assume they're just a little over 7%. That's kind of where they've been for the past, I don't know, month or so, give or take. There's no real sign of them coming down. I think the data that you see, changes them every day. And I try to tell people that, I'll get a call and they're just in the pre-approval stages and they want to, they're shopping for a house and they want to know what the rates are. And my discussion with them is always, don't focus on the rate because it could be a month until you find a house.
Right.
It could be 2 months. It could be so much different. I think they're taught to just shop around for rate, that they don't really understand that it's shop around for the person that's going to do right by you, that's going to get you to the finish line, that's going to have a great transaction. I had a call from a woman last week where she was just like, Mike, what's the rate? What's the rate? Okay, well, tell me a little about your scenario. And she was telling me about the lender she was working with, an online lender that was giving her a certain rate. And I said, I did the application with her. I went through everything. I said, look, you actually qualify for one of our programs based on where you're moving from. It's a certain area. You qualify for us to give you $6,500 in down payment assistance, closing costs, whatever you want to use the $6,500 for. It is yours based on your criteria. Did that other bank offer that? No, they didn't even mention that. Okay, well, this is why it's not. Don't just tell me
this is
rate.
the value.
I'm like, you can use the $6,500 to buy your rate down. Oh, not to mention, we're going to also pay for your appraisal up to $500. So that's $7,000 this individual qualified for. But all she called me about was the rate.
Right.
So it's the education part that we really have to kind of deal with. Inform them. Hey, it's not just the rate. What is the true cost of homeownership? How much are you bringing to the closing cost, the table when you close?
Right.
Your rate may be good, but it may be costing you $20,000 more. You know?
Or even understanding, as you said before, what you qualify for based on what you make. Do you qualify for a first-time home buyer credit, or can you move from this sort of a loan to that sort of a loan because based on where you're at and your numbers, you're going to save yourself this much money by being in this kind of a loan. There is really a lot to take into it. I know sometimes I will have clients pre-qualified a couple different ways because I know they might do better under one loan, but I'll know the other loan would be preferred by a seller.
Okay.
And so I sometimes like to show, hey, look, we're qualified for both. They want to use this one, but if there's any hiccups, we're going to switch over to this one, right? To say, again, just to both help my client on the getting their offer accepted as well as working with their broker to make sure they're in the best loan for them, right? And sometimes you have to be a magician that way. Right?
I like that approach because there are programs out there that sellers just don't want to, I don't want to say accept, they just don't understand them. So
Right.
they're automatically saying, no, I just want the easiest, whatever is the easiest. And sometimes the easiest is not what's going to have the most savings for the buyer.
Right.
So we have to then say, well, if this will work, I want to do what's best for my buyer. If it's going to save them $100 a month, what does it matter to you, seller, if
Right.
you're getting the same number? Like, does it matter to you what loan they use?
Right. Correct.
And in certain instances, it will because, as certain
Right.
properties
A home
need to meet certain
doesn't necessarily qualify
Yeah.
for it. Right.
But with the backup in place, I like that.
Yeah, so that's that's one of the approaches I've been taking to work with my lender in a way that makes me educated and understand exactly who my buyer is in each case. Right, every buyer is different, and sometimes they really just will not qualify for the cookie cutter what the seller wants kind of a loan, and then I have to educate myself on what that loan means, what kind of restrictions there are. Does that house meet those qualifications? What can we do if it's like maybe just this one thing? Like, how do we get that accomplished before the appraiser comes out so we can pass that thing? So,
fix it ahead of time.
there's a lot that goes into things when I represent a buyer to make sure that we get them the home they want with the loan product they are qualified for, right?
Yep.
And so, another piece of value your buyer's agent brings to you.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. I was talking to other realtors at this thing, and it's just we're doing some role playing and stuff, and doing objections to what to list a house at. And I was like, I told them straight up, I'm like, look, we did the role play jokingly, and then I said, I'm in this business. I would gladly pay you 6%. I respect your value. Like, I understand what your job is and how much you guys do, and you'll probably run me around or run buyers around for a month or two before you actually. So, but it's different because I'm in this industry.
Correct, and you see it.
Yeah, and I would never say, oh, well, I'm going to give you 3% or whatever the number is. It's just not, it doesn't come across my table, but I think it's just because we work in this business, and I see what they do. I see what you guys go through. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
So,
but that's. I saw Joe Distelberger, who's a commercial agent in our office and very successful. I saw on a video, whatever, his he had said something that kind of made me smile today, and it was, real estate, you don't necessarily choose real estate. Sometimes real estate chooses you, right? And I think that speaks to the passion that you really have to have to stay motivated to keep pushing forward sometimes, right? Because like any business that you run, there are hard times, and sometimes the market dictates a slowdown in your business, and it's totally out of your control, right? And other times, you just fall into a set of just deals going the wrong way. And it's like you feel like every time the phone rings, you don't even want to pick it up because you don't know what's going to happen. Because you just feel like you're in that bad spot. Like, if I just don't pick up the phone for the rest of the day, try again tomorrow, it'll be a better day.
I'll wake up on the right side.
I don't know.
You mentioned the market. Why don't we chat about it quickly?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still busy as ever over here. As you know, like I said, I think I have 200 pre-approved buyers running around. Some have obviously, they're not as active as they used to be. They're probably just getting updates from the agents here and there. So yeah, it's different here than other parts of the country, but I think we're going to have a shift soon. I don't think prices are going to come down, but
what are you seeing in other parts of the country?
I mean, parts where, like Florida, for instance, only because I was just there, they had a 61% increase in listings year over year. So from April last year to April this year. That's probably partly because of the insurance stuff that's going on, but it's happening in other states. I think states where everyone kind of rushed in,
right?
And now the builds are catching up, like the new construction's kind of catching up a little bit. So it's shifting. But But the South just seems very popular still. Nashville, like pockets of South Carolina, those areas still seem to be desirable. The Northeast is chugging along. There's just not enough housing up here.
Right, because we can't build ourselves out of our inventory.
We can't, no.
Right, it's different from other places where they, expand into a greater, greater Charlotte area. And so, you might not be right in Charlotte, but you're still in the greater Charlotte area, and there's plenty of land to still build. I think because of the age of this part of the country and our topography and whatever, we don't necessarily have the space to expand. Right?
Yeah.
We did that in the 50s and 60s. We've already done that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it's going to be still tight here for a while. I shouldn't say fear. What I see kind of happening, because they always come out with this inflation data. We're going to have some, I think, this week. I forget what day it comes out. I'll have to look. But I think these higher rates for longer, I feel like they've done what they've needed to do. And everyone's saying the consumer is strong and the consumer is strong. Truthfully, what I've seen in the numbers is it's strong, but they're eating through their savings.
Right. Or I hear credit card debt is like
but they burned through their savings, and now they're into the credit card debt, which is going to come to roost eventually.
Yeah, especially with the rates where they are now. Those, I looked at my most recent credit card statement. I think it was like 23%. APR. That's a tremendous number if you carry any sort of a real balance on it, right? We can talk forever about things like that, but pay off your credit card statement, use it if you're on a points card, use it so you get your points, but pay it off at the end of the month. And if you are spending more than you can afford, really, it's time to evaluate, what you're spending on and find a way to live within your monthly means, period, right? Especially if you're thinking you want to buy a house or something like that. You can't be walking in with, high credit card debt at such a high mortgage or interest rate.
Because
never get out of it. And you're going to be pre-approved for so much less money because of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And people are talking to me about, the rates are so high in mortgages. Yeah. It's like, really, they're not that bad considering where they've come from.
Right, or what you pay for other debt that you carry.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right?
Well, that's a whole other conversation that we have with people.
Correct. It's a conversation, right? Like you are having, look at what you're doing financially. Why are you doing this?
Yeah. I mean, I talk to people about that when they're like, I want to put 20% down. I'll simply say, but you have X amount in credit card debt. Do 5%, pay off that 20% interest credit card. It's silly. Oh, I was always told you need to get to 20%.
Right.
No, the ways of the world have changed. You can do 0% down technically with certain loans, but most people are doing 3%, 5%. There's a lot doing a lot more than that, but that's a conversation we always have. Focus on the bad debt.
Correct.
Mortgages, I consider good debt. It builds wealth long term.
So I would agree with you. And every person has a different financial picture, and that is why there is value in working with someone who is focuses their business on not closing the most number of deals they can, but helping their people move to where they want to go with their next step.
Yeah, long-term wealth.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we are
through an hour.
We did. We are winding down. With our show this week, and I'm just going to throw out there one last time. The Committee for Families of War Veterans has their fundraiser coming up. Go to familiesofwarveterans.org. To buy tickets, and hopefully we'll see you Thursday, May 23rd. We have
about 30 seconds.
We do. So anyway, just
I will be
anyone.
There. I'm going to sign up as soon as we get out of here.
I love that. Thank you, Mike.
Support that. Anything I can do around the community is great.
Yep.
And then I guess we'll see you next week.
Perfect. All right. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Bye.